Dabo Swinney is not a disciple of Nick Saban, but he definitely took a page out of the playbook on how to adapt or die in college football. Because last season, he went out and made a different hire than what he usually does by bringing over Garrett Riley from TCU as his new OC. And now he's added in two other coaches that are not part of his fraternity of coaching staffs. But will he make the ultimate move and finally go to the transfer portal? Let's talk about Clemson football. If you are new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on Clemson going into 2024. Tell your friends, your family, your sister, your brother, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, any Clemson fan about this channel. Continue to give me a follow on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. We're on the race to 1,000, then 5,000, then 10,000, then 100,000. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get there. So jump on in while the water's fine. That way, we can always talk about college football. Dabo Swinney went 8-4 this year. Just picture this for a second. This is Clemson. This is a team that was basically Georgia before Georgia came along and started knocking on the door and saying, no. We belong in that number 2 spot, and they won national championships, and they could get whoever the hell they wanted in terms of the recruiting trail. And Dabo Swinney, who got the job at an interim level, is going 8-4. That's not acceptable in Clemson, South Carolina. I don't know many of you who have ever seen Dabo Swinney coach, but that is not the fundamentals of what is based off of Tiger football. And it never really has been, which is why Dabo Swinney was even named an interim head coach to begin with. Because if he realized this is a standard that needs to be set, and we're not meeting that standard. So instead of just sitting and wallowing and trying to do the same stuff that he's been doing for years on end, he goes out and he makes two really smart hires, Matt Luke and Chris Rumph. For any of you who don't know, Matt Luke was the former head coach at Ole Miss, and he has been a battle-tested disciple when it comes to building offensive lines for over 2 decades. And Chris Rumph is a really good defensive line coach. Anybody who has ever met him, anybody who's had a conversation with him, you look at the laundry list of players that he's punched into the NFL, he's done a pretty good job at what he's done. And now they're on staff alongside Garrett Riley, who seemed to find his rhythm toward the end of the season to build for 2024. Now, the main thing that's going to change, and I think that has to change, is Dabo's willingness when it comes to the transfer portal. I get it. You have a philosophy, you have an identity, you have a persona, and you have a culture. Well, sometimes, like there are amendments, you have to add more to expect more. And this is where Dabo Swinney cuts himself short. 8-4 was because you did not have proper wide receivers. 8-4 was because you were missing that nuanced taste up the middle on the defensive line. 8-4 was because of your enableness to not go and add in a player via the transfer portal. Just think about this for a second. Imagine if Keon Coleman is actually on the sidelines of Clemson when they play Florida State. That game goes to overtime and Keon Coleman's coming down with the ball for 6. Clemson wins. 1 player. That's all it takes. How about a guy like Adonai Mitchell, 2-time defending national champion, leaves Athens, Georgia, and heads on over to the 40 acres. Career year, career numbers. Oh, and by the way, has a shot of winning yet another national title before he enters the NFL draft. A spot where now we're going to be talking about Adonai Mitchell potentially being a first-round pick. There are a ton of wide receivers that were made available last offseason that you could have brought in. You chose not to. And the results paved the way to where you are now. Here's the best part about Dabo Swinney if you go into the transfer portal. There's 2 things. Let's start off with the first. Number 1, you don't have to go get everybody. You don't have to go out there and add in 45 different players and rebuild your roster overnight. This is not a Colorado 2.0. This is not even an LSU 2.0 when Brian Kelly touched down in Baton Rouge and people said that he was a bad culture fit. Just had a Heisman Trophy winner with a guy that many people thought shouldn't have been the starting quarterback. You did your job. You need to go out and add in the right players. 3 to 4, maybe 6 at most, and they come in and they change the identity of the offense. They fortify your defensive line. They make the necessary moves that bring you from pretender back to contender. That's where you are if you're Dabo Swinney. Think of the transfer portal, not like free agency, but like a buffet, if you will. I go to buffets all the time. I love it. I think they're great. I want chicken. I want mashed potatoes. I want green spinach. I want to have a piece of pumpkin pie. I'm one of those guys. I know what I want. I want crab legs on my side. Call me Jameis Winston. You know what I don't want? Peas. I hate peas. You know what I don't want? Candied apples. They're disgusting to me. You know what I don't want? I hate Brussels sprouts. So I go on by and I say, I want this, I want this, I want this. It's BK. Have it my way. That's the damn way I view it. And then I go plate my plate down and I enjoy my meal. That's the way you view the transfer portal. And ultimately, once you pick up your mashed potatoes and your cream corn and your chicken and your steak and your crab legs, then you bring it back to the table, and the table is Clemson University. And Clemson, now you have a feast, and the feast is you are winning an ACC title and playing for a college football playoff spot. That's what you do. That's how you view the transfer portal. You get the right guys, the guys that fit your system, what you're looking for to elevate your status as a quality team. And you trust NIL being a factor because of it's at your disposal for a reason. And then you win. And the results speak the volume of where you are. Because Dabo Swinney is a damn good coach, and anybody out there that says he's lost a step or two, I politely say step on back and watch what happens if he actually goes into the portal. Because the coaching has never been the problem. It's been the persona around Dabo Swinney. And I'm Team Dabo about 95% of the time. So if this is a pro Dabo segment, please know there's a reason behind it. But now back to the other point. Talk about culture. You talk about the locker room, the persona inside the locker room. Well, if we add names from the outside who aren't bred into our culture, it may rattle some feathers and it may end up being a problem for the long-term future. Let me explain real fast. When good teams have great cultures, coaches really are just babysitters. Go look at Georgia. Go look at Michigan. Go look at Alabama. Really, go look at Michigan. That's a pretty good one. They lose their head coach for 6 games of the season, one because of a self-imposed ban and one because the NCAA says, hey, Connor Stallions isn't here. You can't be here either, Jim Harbaugh. And they go undefeated. And they win. And they win at the hardest part of their schedule with the guy in Sharon Moore leading the charge. He's the babysitter inside the locker room because the team rallied together and said, we're going to win because of we're damn good and we have a damn good identity. That's what good programs do going into November. They have the leaders inside the locker room. Go march into an Athens locker room. Go march into Tuscaloosa's locker room and see what those players are like. I've had conversations with them at the NFL level. There's always 5 or 6 guys who are basically secondary coaches that also play the sport. And they're really damn good at both, being leaders in the locker room and leaders on the field. When you have that culture, what you do is you'll bring in 6 or 7 transfers. They'll sit down and they'll say, hey, kid, welcome to Clemson. This is how we do stuff here. If you want to win a championship, this is how we play. This is our brand of football. And when our brand of football is really damn good, we can conquer the world. You don't need to go add in 10, 15, 20 guys. You need 6 really badasses to come fix your program. And if you get those 6 guys, guess what? You've made the right changes. It's going to be slow. I understand Clemson fans. Trust me, it's bad. I get it. You've seen mediocrity and you've watched regression kind of set in. And now you're saying, well, what is the standard of Clemson football? The standard is what you had back in 2016. The standard's back what you had when you had Taj Boyd as your quarterback and then Deshaun Watson and then Trevor Lawrence. That's the standard of Clemson football, and it always has been. So if you get those players in there and they understand what the brand is all about and what that Tiger Paw stands for, you're right back on track. It's a slow process, but you are actually seeing Dabo Swinney learn to adapt. He's not hiring from within when it comes to his offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. He's not elevating position coaches. He's going out of his way to bring in proven names, to be proven commodities for a roster that wants to prove to the world in the ACC, brand new ACC, because you're adding in 3 teams, we're still the top dog. You watch Florida State be left out of the college football playoff. It won't happen to Clemson. Dabo Swinney, you are not leaving that man out of the playoff. And you're also going to see more of this type of production moving forward. Louisville's on the come up with Jeff Brom. I'm telling you, you may not want to hear it, Clemson fans. Florida State fans, close your ears for this one. Miami's going to be good next year. Miami could be Texas 2.0 in year 3 of Mario Cristobal. Florida State's not going anywhere. Duke, I think, made an exceptional hire when it came to bringing in Manny Diaz. North Carolina, they got a quarterback. Mac Brown hasn't retired yet. He's still coaching on Saturdays. You still have a shot at being the kings of the ACC, but you have to make the necessary moves. If Dabo Swinney is willing to humble himself and bring in transfers, get the right kids in the building, not a million, 6 really talented players at key positions that you seem to can't develop. You get that, you're right back in the hunt of things. I'm telling you this much. Dabo Swinney making some changes is a step in the right direction. But if he wants to finish the job, he's got to be willing to go into the transfer portal. He does that. Watch out, world. Clemson was down, but damn sure wasn't out. Thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.